talk to you relatively briefly. I'm not going to suck up all the time for Steve. I just want to talk to you briefly about just something that I've recently encountered that's been given a name for me. It's something that I've learned that we've always been doing, but it's been very highlighted during this intern process of mine when I was at North Carolina. Speaking of which, I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about North Carolina. That's its own conversation. But at my intern orientation for my second year that I'm starting in January, they were just talking about this one phrase that I'm building some suspense for that's just becoming so popular amongst the Trinitarian community. And I am absolutely jazzed for it, to the point where I use the phrase jazzed. I don't normally use that phrase, but I just love this because it's just so normal. And it's called, and I've used this before, some of you may have heard it, but it's a fancy sounding word called incarnational ministry.
Yes.
Some of you have heard of that.
Yes.
Most likely, maybe all of you, I don't know, but I'll assume you haven't, and I'll explain it very briefly. Incarnational ministry is simply put being Christ to people, not trying to get people to come to Christ. You want to bring Christ to them in their life. And one thing that was stressed, and one thing that I'm finding that I just really personally love, since every single person has their own passions. Every single person has their own things that they are gifted and strength that they have as their strength. And as a pastor, every single pastor has their own strength. There's some pastors that just have a strength in evangelism. Fantastic. There's some pastors that are just really deep theologians, and they love doing Bible studies. Amazing. We are so blessed if we have a pastor that is super just deep into rich theology, and they're able to really bring the Bible to life. Fantastic. Every single one has their blessings. Every single person has their giftings. What I'm starting to find out, my gifting and what my area of strength in is just relational ministry. It sounds so vague. It's like, well, Anthony, but all ministry is inherently relational. Yes, it is. This is a slight tangent, but what I'm finding I really enjoy is counseling. Counseling with people, just being with them in every day. Because I personally believe most people, myself included, don't have these fantastical days. It's like I'm a little wary to tell people where I say like, oh, I'm a pastor, or oh, I'm in ministry, because then they're like, oh, you do ministry, whoa, and then they're just like, ministry, they just elevate it, put it on this pedestal. I'm like, ministry is nothing fantastic, it's nothing pretty. A lot of times ministry is pretty ugly in how you handle things, because ministry is going into the nitty-gritty of life. It's going into the hardships of someone dying in your family and grieving with people. This ministry right there. And so when people say, they're like, oh, Anthony, you're in ministry, I'm like, never should you ever put me or any pastor on a pedestal. They are just people too. They make their mistakes. They're imperfect, and they're 100% human. And so what I'm finding I really like is this thing called incarnational ministry, and what it stresses is just being regular. I'm finding I just love so much the regularity in incarnational ministry. What it stresses is just joining people, participating in life, and it's just normality. When I think about certain kinds of ministry, and when I talk to people about ministry, some of my friends, they always think like, oh, you're going to ministry, so you have to be doing street evangelism every day. You have to be doing Bible studies all the time. You have to be doing like these equipping sessions every single chance you get. And I'm not putting those down. Absolutely, without a doubt. Evangelism, extremely important work. We're supposed to do it. It says in the Bible. Various forms of Bible study, crucial for equipping a church and for strengthening your brothers and sisters. Intentional equipping, super important. All those forms of intentional discipleship where you're trying to build the body, you need that. You can't have a church without that. But I like to think that most of the church body, during their week, they're not doing that. They're working a 40-hour week. You're doing a 9 to 5. And when you get home from work, what are you? You're tired. You just want to relax. You just want to take it easy because you have bills you need to pay. You have a spouse or kids or just something you need to provide for, even if it's just yourself. And that's where incarnational ministry meets, in the regularity of life. Because I have friends where every time I see them, they're like, Anthony, let's talk about the Bible. And I could do that all day. And for them, I will. But for most people, they don't want to do that. When someone comes home from work, they're tired. They don't want to just be like, Anthony, I don't want to talk about the Bible for the next 2 hours. I just want to relax. I just got chewed out by my boss. I just had this happen to me and this. And so you join them in life. You don't have to so overtly be talking about God to be Christ to people.
Amen.
What's the saying? Preach the word and use words if necessary. I love that phrase so much because more often than not, we can show Christ and be Christ to people just by our presence. And I've been really living that out lately, where I've been having friends over just to my house and just eating dinner with them and just hearing about what's going on in their life. And not trying to come at them with some agenda of like, I'm just trying to get you at my church, that's all I want you for. I seek their friendship first. I seek them as a person first, as Christ seeks us as his children. He doesn't have some agenda, he just wants to love us. And so we, as Christians, just want to love our brothers and sisters, whether they're believers or not. And we don't approach them with an agenda, because I think all of us here have encountered a person, whether they're Christian or not, where they start talking to you and you're like, I can just feel you want to sell me on something, and I'm just not having it already. I can feel the fakeness behind your smile. And people can see that. They have that sense where they're like, you are not being genuine to me right now. You really don't care about how my day was. You are just listening to me so that you can talk. And incarnational ministry is everything but that. We're being genuine. We care about the person. We want to know what's going on in their life. We want to be able to celebrate with them when they get married, when they get a girlfriend or boyfriend or something, when they pass their driving test, when they get a new job, when they have their first child. We want to be there for those things in life. We also want to be there when life is terrible, when life just puts so much burden on our shoulders that we can barely handle it. There's a saying that I really like, where they say, shared joy is double joy, and shared sorrow is half sorrow. And I think that's completely true. We need to be in relationship with people, intentional relationship. And it's okay, and that was the most relieving thing for me here, for it to be okay not to overtly talk about God, where the first thing you see someone is like, oh, so I've been doing ministry and I just want to minister to you, and I just want to talk about the Bible to you. That's going to repel a lot of people. People are not going to want to talk to you. All you're going to do is talk the Bible. When you see them, they're going to be like, oh, this guy again is coming here with all this religious stuff. That is not how you're going to attract people to you. I've seen it a few times now with a few of my friends where I've just been regular with them. I haven't even brought up God. And now one of these guys plays drums at our church at New Life. And just from being me to them, being Christ to them, and how I act, how I treat them with dignity, with respect. I love on it. And God will open up the opportunity to share your testimony to them, to get into those real conversations with them. The real ones where it's like they start expressing their heart and things they've been through, things they're going through. And in those moments, that's when you can really minister to people, because they trust you enough to share those things. And so this conversation can go on for a long time. And I'd love to share more about this. So next time I speak, I'll talk more on incarnational ministry. But that's just a little glimpse of some of the things I learned at this orientation. It's fantastic. And I'm so happy about it. And God is so good all the time.